Hey, good morning, folks. We're gonna do some artwork today. Give me a second here to check my signal, make sure we're live. I'll go through a quick intro while I do my social media post updates, and then we'll get to work. So one moment here while we're checking the signal. I think I'm gonna have to adjust my volume. One moment here while we're checking the signal. Yeah, so far so good. There, that should keep that out of the way. Grab my link here real quick. Blip, 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 blip. We'll do our social media posts here. So if you're familiar with the channel already and you're catching this in the future, you can skip ahead past the intro bump, and we'll get to work. But if you're trapped here in space-time with me here now, or if you're just curious about the channel in general, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them. I publish them online. And I'm creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I've been a DM since 1987. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. I've been an Eberron enthusiast since 2004. And I've been creating content on the DMsGuild since 2018, but I haven't done anything for Eberron specifically yet. So this is an adventure that we're creating, Crystals of Mabar. It's for characters level 7 and 8. We're fighting necromancers, undead, and demons in the Carnwood of Karnath on the continent of Corvair. And let's see, if you think today's cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications of when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books that I've already created that are on the DMsGuild that all have free preview. Check them out. If you think they're cool, consider picking them up. Here's our full creation playlist of all 470 episodes. And we made this book cover around episode 40. When we finish a book, we start another one and keep them rolling. So I'm really happy with this mountain range. I think it's turned out okay. I did some fading here along the edges last night, just to have it bleed into the plains around it, and that lines up pretty well with the mountains, the ashen spires that are already here. So I feel like I did a decent job. I also feel like I can maybe futz around a little bit more. I don't want to fade that. It just looks a little too bulky. So I'm just using a masking layer with a low opacity brush to bleed away at the edges here, so that these lowland hills sort of melt into the plains around. Yeah, that's starting to be the right space. So just kind of melt away at those edges a little bit there. So we have the plains underneath, and we painted the mountains in a layer above it, and now we're just blending the edges of these hills and stuff into the plains, showing the drop in elevation. Pretty basic technique, but I think it works pretty well. That out a little bit here. Yep, see, we're matching the space and size that they want in the actual map. There we go. All right, so I'm pretty happy with the mountains. Let's move on and start messing around with the forest. So where are you coming from, Little Shoe? Transform. All right, let's get rid of that layer. Okay, so here's our forest. I don't understand the texture that they're using for this, so we're gonna have to make up something. But this is decidedly the forest that they use. It's pretty monochromatic in general, which I'm down with. I don't do color at all. So this all being the same color at different brightness, I'm real good with that. Oh man. Let's try to figure something out. Conceal that. We'll open this up. I'm going to let's mess around with. I know that we used this brush for the forest maps of the village that we made. Let's go take a look at that real quick. Act 1, Region 1. Here's a village map with the roofs on. So this is the general look that we have to the trees in this forest, or in the surrounding terrain. I'm not dissatisfied with that. And that brush is pretty much this. Like that. Basically. So let's see if we can do that. Let's see how that turns out, if it's something we like. And if it is, bully. We'll keep it. How do we want to do? Got our darks, got our lights. Maybe we take this down to 20%. I'm just gonna start tapping a little bit here and just see what ends up happening, shan't we? So I stream 9 times per week, Monday through Friday in the morning. We do artwork like this for whatever our main project is at the time. And obviously right now, this is the Eberron adventure that we're working on Mondays and Thursday nights, like last night. And I do about a 2.5, anywhere from a 2 to 3 hour game design stream where we conceptualize and start putting rules to different ideas that we have for upcoming books, or quote unquote supplements. This isn't bad. It's too uniform across the space, but this is a decent start, I think, to begin the language here of how this works. So I'm just gonna just keep tapping this in. I'm happy with it so far. We have this base layer of green forest with the border here that we can use to trim away the excess forest bits that are overflowing into the environment. But for the most part, that's pretty good. It's a higher density than the individual trees that we have in the village map. So I think the common texture will read well, but since we're dealing with a higher dot density here in the larger forest, I think that'll read appropriate as more distant than the tree canopies we have that are up close in the village. I'm just doing a thorough layer of like high density. You can start seeing masses. Like if you squint your eyes a little bit, you see how like there's a higher density of pixels here than over here. I'm gonna take the whole thing and drop its opacity a little bit like that. I'm gonna do the same over here. think this has a good chance of working. I mean, I don't necessarily have to do a lot more than that. But I feel compelled to. So let's flip the script here and reduce the size of our brush and just start making some, looking here. Yep. Just start making some denser dark areas. Hey Foxy, how you doing? Happy for absolutely, man. Millions of trees, they all need friends. Yeah, we're just gonna dot this texture in here for a little bit. I want to make the brush size a little bit bigger there. Man, I think if I stay in these dark spots, just whinge on them for a second, just to blot out the sun a little bit more in those areas, that'll help just mix up the structures, of like breaking it down into smaller shapes, whatever's standing out. Uh-oh. Very quiet, huh? That seems to be running. Huh. How does that go? Does that do any better? Better. Nope, doesn't seem like that's really changing things. Thanks for the warning. Let's see how I hear it. Let's see how I hear it. Let's see how I hear it. That seems like the normal volume that I use. I don't know what to say. Oh, hold on. Here. Let's adjust this. I bet that's gonna end up being better. Mic check, mic check. Yeah, I can see my meter over there in the corner is kicking up a little bit better. Thanks for the heads up. Appreciate that. Very so. I want to switch. Switch brush to. Let's go to a 20%. Hey, Steve, how you doing? It's good to see you. Drop that down a little bit. Drop that down. Maybe I want to go with 30% opacity to dense that up a little bit quicker. I want to keep the texture while I'm dropping the dark. So that's I can only tap in any specific spot. See how the brush is changing size and flipping around. I have a randomizer here. Let's see if I can find the. Brush. I want to see. Windows is brush setting. There we go. So this is how. So you can see I have a shape dynamic going on here. Now there's a size jitter. So every time I tap, it places the pixels where the brush is currently at, and then it randomly changes the size of the brush plus or minus 39%. Angle jitter. Every time I tap the brush, it also will rotate the brush up to 26% clockwise or counterclockwise, and scattering. Pixel control is for fade. So when I flip it, it resizes, and then when I tap, it'll scatter the pixels around a little bit, and then I have smoothing layer, which isn't really relevant right now, but and then brush tip size. The spacing is a large enough. 25% spacing means that
If I were to continue to streak along the ground, there'd be about 25% of the size. Like if it was a 40 pixel brush, it would skip basically every 10 pixels. So 75% of it would overlap, which is really important when you're doing smudge work. But when you're just doing when you're doing brush stroke, not so much. But then it has where does it say projecting? Shape dynamic. Here we go. And then we have the brush projector, and that means that it recognizes the Z axis. So with the pen, I can tilt the pen and I can rotate it, and I have it set up so it acknowledges that change in the brush dynamic depending on how I'm tapping it or how I'm actually using the brush. So that's the basic breakdown. So this brush specifically has that jitter function attached to it and that scatter effect, so I can't predict what the brush will do. I have a predetermined shape, and just there you go. That's what the brush looks like, or like that. See how I can fit these things together? See, I manually flipped it there. This is the kind of work I built this brush to do. See how it's just fitting into all these spaces? It took me a while to actually build this brush, so when I randomize it, it feels random, creating organic little spots in here. This is a really fucking good brush. I owe the community this brush on my Patreon for hitting my my benchmarks. But see, you can easily thread these things together in an intentional pattern, and it feels pretty organic if that's the kind of thing if that's the kind of texture that you need. And with trees, little dots like that is pretty good for the individual leaves. So when I come through here and I tap on it like this, I can just kind of like let it rivet around a little bit, and it creates these different pockets of density. So that's how this is how the brush works. It's one of my just basic staple brushes that I use when I'm making terrain and scenery and stuff. It has a lot. It's a foliage brush, period. But I can use it, as you can see here, I can use it at different levels of scale, and it still turns out pretty good. I've got some vacation time cropping up here next week and two. Maybe I can carve out an hour to properly package these brushes into an ASP file and put it up on my Patreon, so I can fulfill that promise to the community. So I'm not a fucking liar. Yeah, this is okay. We're using 30% opacity instead of 20% opacity right now, and so that drops the color layers on a little quicker than the 20% does. About 50% faster, in fact. You see how easy it is to make these like little structures that kind of just bleed into each other, and that's what I want. That's what I want to be able to do. Ooh, wait. No, yeah, we're in a good place. Hold on, wait, no, I lost it. That's darker. Let's add some of that language in over here so this forest doesn't fall behind. Tap and erase it a little bit. I don't know how much I actually need to do to make this look good, but I suspect as usual my role in this equation or in this process is to just tap the fucking pixels, monkey, and the muse will tell me when I'm done. She'll turn off the switch, and I'll flip my attention to something else. That tends to be how it works here. I like that. Let's go back over to here. Different. I don't understand this texture at all, honestly. Like, it doesn't. I guess when you take it to distance, I guess it reads okay. Like, I don't see how topography is represented here. I see like this little smudge through here. It creates those things create more questions than they provide answers. So I like this texture a little bit better. Go figure. We can add in a little bit over here. The manifest zone rotted away the forest around it because of just raw necrotic energy rots stuff. And as the manifest zone grows in power, it warps the environment around it more to become like its unnatural plane of existence here. And since Mabar is the plane of basically necrotic energy, like the negative plane of energy mixed with Carcery, Tartarus. It just melts the forest. But the manifest zone is only 5 miles in size, so and this isn't a perfectly represented map, but this is basically 100 miles from village to Fort Bastion here. So like this would be a 20-mile area. So like each one of these dashed lines is probably like 5 miles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 23 total. Yeah, like 4 miles and 1 mile. Who knows? Anyway, it's these dashes is about the size, which is about the same size / smaller than the diamond that's representing the site of interest. So it wouldn't if it would be visible as a scar in the forest, it would literally be the size of and smaller than that diamond. So that diamond is actually well placed. It should be a circle, but we're putting a diamond because it's diamond for danger site, square for good site, typical city map icon and village map icon. Nothing too fancy going on here. Squares are forts, diamonds are like dungeons and other danger zones. Generally, when you're looking at maps, it's just really easy icon language, very very simple. Simple to the point that I'm not providing a key. I'll put a scale. I think I'll put a scale map just for reference, but I possibly drop that over here in the corner. But it's otherwise the labels themselves will be pretty self-evident and easy to go with. I'm word salading a little bit here, guys. Don't mind me. I'm in the struggle. I'm going to drop the opacity on this down. Let's say 50%. It's got a little bit of tooth to it. Obviously fucked up over here using a light color instead of a dark color on this layer. This layer was supposed to be all dark. But alas, earwax did not happen. Shan't scorn it. There to there. Let's add in. Let's find the brightest of the bright. The best of the best color. There we go. That's a pretty sharp color. Let's use that. We'll drop the size of our brush a little bit more again. And still at the same 30. Let's just pepper some of this stuff in here where we're seeing highlights just sort of naturally showing up. See, I'm being a little bit more methodical here because I'm blocking in a highlight zone. So I want to make sure that the brush is landing in positions that will help interlock the fractal nature of it together. Like that. There. I worked on the mountains a little bit last night. I'm pretty happy with how they're looking now. There's some flaws that could potentially be fixed, but if the muse decides I should stress over it, I will, and I'll spend more time on it. But when I pan out to a level where you're most likely gonna, like the level of resolution you're probably gonna see, I think that looks pretty good. So overall, I think this is a pretty damn good looking map. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm just recreating the official map. I mean, so it's not like it deserves any bragging rights or anything, but I think it's being well composed, and I think it's making good use of the space. This is a pretty large area that we're looking at, and I think I'm doing a decent job in centering, like positioning it on the page, so it's doing all the things that you want a map to do, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That looks, well, let's add in a little bit over here. Looks pretty good. Pretty good. What happens if I drop the opacity on this down? Say 50%? And then we take another layer and let's do it again. We'll reduce the size of the brush some more. I want to not hyper focus too much. I don't want to zoom in too much because I'll lose the structure. There we go. Hit the eraser there because those are all blocked in just a little bit too much. It's looking too much like a lump and not texture. There. So last night we finished up all the clerics for the color mana conversion. So far so good. Subclasses don't need, unless the subclass is specifically about color identity, you can leave it just generic. And we were like working on like Grave Domain and Peace Domain. Like Peace Domain feels like it would just naturally radiate with white magic, right? But I don't want to dictate that the Peace Domain is specifically like I don't want to code white mana to the Peace Domain. I want if you choose white mana, most of the spells that you're getting for the Peace Domain, like the bonus spells, are just naturally white. So that that just kind of works out. That the bunch of bonus spells. I mean, so here's the thing about that though. The irony is that with the color mana system, if it's a bonus spell and you're using solid magic, where you have to define the color of magic for each point of mana, as the more aggressive restrictions on magic usage, bonus spells can be cast with any color you want. So you have the ability to lean into the bonus spell list that you have from your subclass, because it doesn't matter what color mana you have, you can always cast it. So like if you're playing a peace domain and all of the spells in the peace bonus list are generally white, but you're playing, say, a Simic character that only has blue and green mana, then when you cast like Aid, for instance, would be, well, Aid would probably be white or green because it's hit points. It might, but like Magic Weapon, I think is white and red. Since you don't have white or red in your Simic blue-green colors, but it's a bonus spell, it doesn't matter. You can use blue or green magic. At the same time, you could have a Rakdos Peace Cleric, for whatever reason you do that operates only in black and red, and so like its aid spell, instead of being white and green energy, it could be black or red, just cast it on the fly. So the spells that you choose to pick from the larger list of prepared spells, you have to be a bit more attentive about, do I have the color for this, or can I cheat this onto my list somehow? And the bonus spells are like, yeah, you can always, they're your bonus spells, you can always cast them. So there's a fun bending of the rules. Again, I talk about this a lot, and so I'll say it again. If you have a decent set of rules, your DM and designers can make, well, the actual thing that I say is that if you need good rules to make good rulings, you have to have enough of a system in place to hinge off of, to decide, do I like how they're expressing this rules as written, or do I want to change that? But if you don't have any input from the game creators one way or the other, you're just like, I don't know what their opinion about this thing is. How am I supposed, I don't know how to play with it. But beyond that, the next step I would say is that good rules promote good supplements that can riff off of those rules. And I think there's while I hate the Bastion system as presented in the DMG, because I'm not a fan of it, basically the entire system operates on the social pillar, where the DM and the players are just basically narrating, if they narrate the minimal things that your Bastion facilities can do, but there's no chance of failure. There might be randomness too on what you can do, but there's no chance of failure. But the system itself is actually pretty good. It has enough mechanical depth to it that design monsters like myself can take what's there and build deeper mechanical tools with it. And by building that additional mechanical depth, we've now established enough rules on how the system works that a DM can take those rules and make up their own stuff with it and follow the same pattern, so that you're consistently creating things that are equal in scale based on the rank of your Bastion, and by extension the level of your characters, and how to make sure you're not overpacking any particular facility with too many benefits so that it becomes a clear and obvious choice. So those mechanics are in place on top of the crafting mechanics and like the Bastion conflict system of mass combat stuff. That all curves together really nicely, so that if you create in your adventure a new way to design conflicts of interaction between different geopolitical structures, there's enough meat on the bones that I provided for you that you can just riff the narrative and grab a couple of different pieces of mechanics from the conflict system and how the Bastions resolve stacked dice in your favorite part of the pun. You can design your own stuff from that, and that's what the things that I publish are designed to do that. I want you to be able to, you dear reader, to be able to basically pick up what I'm dropping. Like this is the way that I'm looking at stuff, and you can grab that. You can go, I can run with that and make my own things with it now. and have the power scale and capabilities be roughly in alignment with what already exists, because there's enough meat on the bones at this point to be able to hinge off of or build upon, as you please. Anyway, that's my rant. That to me, I guess in summary, to me that's what good design is to be able to create things that facilitate people creating other things with clear cut borders and like do-don'ts sort of guidance in place. So I'm particularly proud of the Bastion campaign system that we've been building here on stream. It's pretty fucking solid. Pretty solid. So I'm thinking once I finish this Eberron book, we're fleshing out the 2024 version of the Color Mana system, but I think the next book I actually want to build is the Bastions. I think it's mechanically significant considering the introduction of the new 5e24 rules. Kind of like how I prioritized the Spelljammer book when that was when Spelljammer as a setting was released, because I think the mechanics that I introduce in my Spelljammer combat and exploration is significant enough that it's something that I want to actively draw people's attentions towards, because there's multiple Reddit subreddits that are specifically focusing on Spelljammer. There's a number of Discord servers that actively focus on Spelljammer. Like these are good places for me to go and proselytize the mechanics that I develop, because the people that go to those forums and chords, they're actively looking for solutions that I'm offering in those books. It's like the natural place for me to go and do. But if I wasn't like so gung-ho, like this is going to change your campaign using this, try it. Like that's the Crusaders approach that I take when I proselytize the mechanics and books that I use. It's like, I know for a fact that this is going to add a different dimension to your gameplay, like in some cases literally, and so try it. Anyway, that's my ramble rant. So I'm just being very particular about how I'm dropping in new brush strokes here to build up these highlight structures and leave these little patches of dark in place as little elevation shifts perhaps, or just density of population for the forest. Hard to say specifically, but I like the changes in density. I think they're important. So I want to kind of build up and thicken the pixel density in the areas that are lighter and keep the other darker pockets looser. I kind of like how there's like a darkening pocket around the manifest zone. I think that's actually pretty appropriate. I'll patch that in. Timely timer, keeping time. What time is it? 7:15. We're doing pretty damn good today, guys. That is not bad. Do I want to drop this down to 50% and do another layer? Layering is everything in forests like this. I think I kind of want to take this one up to 75. Yeah, let's be there. Let's add in another layer. Mayhaps this be the final layer. I'm going to keep the pixel size a little smaller. broad strokes, filling in pattern space here. Like that. There we go. That's too dense. I know at this stage these individual brushstrokes don't make much of a difference, but I think for the composition overall, it's so we're getting these like little paths and little breaks inside of here. That comes from building up these layers so much, the overlapping. As dots start to stack on top of each other in these random patterns, they create these little gaps, and those gaps I think is what adds to the realism of the texture. I've reconfigured the mob rules. I think I'm going to do some playtesting for those potentially over the weekend. The way that I was looking at mobs, I kind of flipped the script. The way that I was looking at mobs was when you have multiple creatures attacking, like if you have, say, 4 creatures attacking, if the first one hits, then basically all creatures get to deal damage, and it's a hell of a hit. But if the first creature misses, then the second creature rolls again. And then the third creature, if the second one misses, the third creature rolls to attack. And if that one hits, then only 2 creatures attack because the first 2 missed. And that was the original design plan. And then the messing around with, well, instead of re-rolling each time to guarantee that we hit, we have one initial die roll. And if that first attack roll misses, then each additional creature that goes, like makes an attack, adds +2 to the die roll result. So if we had like 9 creatures that are attacking, I got like a 5 as my result. Then the second creature makes a 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 8 creatures deep. Like we're starting to hit an 8 armor class 19. And then 21 is where my cap is at. So 9 creatures attacked as a mob, and none of them hit in that instance. But like, say, if the first one hit and like you're dealing like, say, d6 damage, instead of doing 9d6 damage, it would be d6 plus 16. So it'd be 17 to 24 damage from a mob of 9 monsters. That feels a little bit more realistic. But it's still the DM is just assaulting the characters with a bunch of monsters, which is basically what a mob is. But what really got exciting is when we flipped it. So instead of it being a mob of monsters attacking your characters, it's now your characters are getting overwhelmed by a mob of monsters, and it becomes a saving throw that you have to make. And the saving throw, the DC, the higher on the die, like you'll have a minimum DC. Like there's a maximum DC. If you hit this mark, like say if you're +3 to hit, like if the monster is +3 to hit, and there's 9 of them that are attacking, to avoid every one of them, the DC is 29. And for every degree that you get below that, you get hit by an additional monster. So 29 means no damage. 27 means one of them wings you. 25, 23, 21, 19, 17, 15, 13, you get hit by one of you. 13, you got 8, you get hit by 2 of them. So it's basically like if they do like D6 damage, it'd be D6 plus 2 damage that they end up dealing to you. The higher your DC, the less you evade more creatures, and it could be a strength saving. It could be any saving throw that you want. The way that I want to structure it, and I want to play with this, any saving throw you want to throw can be used to avoid being mobbed. Like for example, a paladin has a charisma saving throw that you have proficiency in a charisma saving throw. So if you get mobbed by monsters, you make a charisma. You could choose to make a charisma saving throw because the chances of you getting out 0 injury, like when you have to hit a DC 29 and like say you're 7th level, you're gonna get tagged by stuff. So it's just a matter of which saving throw do you think is going to be best in your odds and how do you want to narrate it. So that charisma saving throw off of that paladin, it's like you have a nimbus of energy that's repelling creatures away from you. It's just flavor text. But like say a rogue that wants to use dexterity is just dodging and sliding through the monsters attempting to hit. While say a barbarian with a huge constitution score is just literally just shrugging off the damage that's coming at them. So you have a much more, you can narrate it how you please. And to me, it doesn't matter because you're still going to take damage. It's a mobile, these mobs of monsters become mobile platforms of traps that it's like trap damage that chases you. So it changes the dynamic of, I have an awesome armor class. I can ignore this low-level threat. It doesn't do a lot of damage. This fight is a waste of our time. But it's like, no, wait. We're being attacked by a mob of 9 ghouls. That saving throw is representing how difficult it is for me to avoid damage and touch from every one of those creatures. So not only is that DC 29 for that mob of 9 ghouls to prevent me from taking any damage, it's also to prevent me from being paralyzed. Fuck. I can't hit a 29 DC. I'm going to get paralyzed. I need help. So these 7th level characters are now being threatened by 4,000 experience points worth of ghouls that otherwise could be cleaned up pretty quickly. It only takes 1 or 2 of those encounters where you're like, yeah, we need to lob AoE to knock that crew down as much as we can. So instead of dealing with like a mob of 9, now it's like maybe 5. And and then you still have to kill them individually. It's like a ghoul with 39 hit points. You have to take that mob of 9 down to 8. You have to drill away 39 hit points. But the armor class is only 13. So a 7th level, 8th level character is going to have an easy time mowing through them. But every round you don't get rid of all of them is another round that whoever's being mobbed has to make another saving throw. And then there's protocols about how they break off. Like 9 monsters can't effectively attack 1 medium-sized creature because you're completely surrounded. So whoever's closest gets hit, they have to make their saving throw. They're going to take a big hit. And then from there, if anyone wades in to start attacking the ghouls, half of the ghouls will break off of that pack of 9 and become a separate pack of 4 and 5. 5 staying on the first target, 4 moving on to whatever target hit last before it's their turn. And then you have 2 parties that are attacking. Now you can break them up. So I now have a mob of 3, 2, 2, 2, and 2 across 5 characters. And all they have to do is make a DC 15 to avoid being hurt at all. And it becomes a lot more manageable if they're using the stat that they want. Now all their action economy remains open for them just to remove threats. Instead of, and every time you knock one down, that's you lower the DC to prevent yourself being hurt. So it becomes an active hazard that you have to attack to eliminate the hazard. I like the mechanic design of that. That's what I'm going to be playtesting. So just so you guys know where I'm at. These mob mechanics are actually pretty important because these I was unsatisfied with the combat, because there's low CR undead in this adventure, but your character's a high enough level that those undead are inconsequential to them individually. It literally just becomes a waste of time. And so the idea of mobs was already being brewed up, and it's looking like that is a really good. I mean, we were either going to ramp, because 2024 characters are more powerful than 2014 characters, and since we're rebuilding this to respect the 2024 rules, we kind of wanted to take an opportunity to reassess how are these threats hitting now, like how are they landing, and so there's a space of improvement, so we get to test it and see if it works. But I am pretty certain that's going to end up being a really good decision. And it really helps put horror on the table. Like, undead hordes are really dangerous. It doesn't matter what level you are. They become significant threats that need to be respected. And that's all, as a DM, that's all I want to do is be able to, like, if I'm going to throw threats at you, I don't care if you mow them down. I want them to be respected. Unless they're like an inconsequential fight and they're there, as like a downtime, like a short rest interruptions. Like, I don't need those to be respected. I just need those to get, you're being taxed for camping in a dungeon. You deserve whatever comes to you. So, but wandering rest threats tend to be lower CR or lower level threat than fully rested, ready to go threats. See how we're having like these little lumps, these little tufts, and these little formations that are showing up in here, like this sort of like coral effect. That, I think, is a more organic feel to the forest. I'm really close to being done with this one, but as these little areas, like this is like a little area here that's separating itself. So I want to lean into that by adding some more highlights on top of that to make that stand out separately from, like, say, this formation over here. I want to add in like a separate little layer of highlights to that, so it stands. So that's what I'm doing. I'm looking for these little groupings here for me to drop highlights inside of, to give them further elevation from the rest of the groupings around it. And this is the proverbial seeing the trees, the forest for the trees, as it were. Seeing the forest for the trees. We're literally making groups of trees standing out in the forest to be seen. Looks really good. I am very, very pleased. Really pleased with how that's turning out. I think that's pretty good. Let's move over here and do something similar. We'll play with this could be the final layer. We'll play with the opacity a little bit just to see how it sits. And if it warrants another sweep, obviously it's not really taking any significant time to do it. Cool. Now let's take the opacity. Let's just mess around with the opacity. Drop it down to, say, 75% as well. Let's drop it down Take that down to 75, and then we'll take this down to 75. I like that. And we'll add another layer. I think this will probably be the last layer here. And then we'll fray the edges, and yeah, that feels pretty good. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Do the same over here. Good. All right, cool. Now let's do this, and then we're going to select the inverse. Delete, 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 delete. That cleans up all the edges so that the forest is only the forest. But now we have these unnatural edges here that are messing around with our border. So let's take, we'll drop in the forest layer like this. We're going to add a masking layer here. That should work. So let's see if it does. Here, let's take our opacity up to 65. That should be good. I'm going to drop in low here. I don't want to overdo it, but I don't want to underdo it either, you know? Being delicate about tapping around these edges. And I've got 20 minutes. So we're finishing this piece today. We're going to start on a whole new page on Monday. See how much more faster this is going now? That we were working on the high density pieces first, and then we're transitioning into lower effort pieces, like less intense pages of illustration. I'm sure we're going to find something that's going to just absolutely just eat 2 weeks of my time. I'm sure we'll find something here pretty soon. But we're kicking through pages, you know? We're getting pages done. again and whittle it out again. I've got vacation time coming up next week. I think, God, I want to say, I'm not positive. I think I have Thursday and Friday off next week. And then Monday, Tuesday, and I think Wednesday the following week after that. It's my, I have a May birthday. So to celebrate myself, I take a 5-day block of time off. And which day of the week, like it depends on which day and this week, yeah. So splitting up the week made sense this year around. Sometimes I just go like Monday through Friday, but this is one of those weeks that one of those years that I'm going to split end it. Hey, what's up? Yes, vacation time. Vacation time is quality time. It means that I get to stream in the mornings, like from 6 till 9 or 10 if I really wanted to, though I rarely stream that long. And I can have like a 3-hour lunch stream, and I can have my normal evening streams. So I have a lot of opportunity for me to do a lot of stuff on camera. And then off camera, I have all day as well as my evening routine for me to work on whatever needs to be worked on to be able to push forward. So a lot of opportunity. I'm not really planning on going anywhere. I might go somewhere over the weekend or something, but I don't think it's going to interrupt. I don't think it's going to interrupt anything that I'm doing. There, that looks pretty good. Let's drop the opacity on that down to 10, just so I can really feather it out. Yeah, I get a lot of vacation time. I've been working at the same marketing agency for the past 17 years, so I've accrued quite a portfolio of benefits. There we go. And they're pretty militant about kicking us out when we start to get too many hours. Like, you got to go on vacation. You're going to burn out. Get out. It's pretty cool. This is I'm pretty happy with this. There we go. What's up? Happy Forest? Yeah, Happy Forest is happy. Happy Phil, Happy Forest. We still have some labels to put on here. I'm running out of time. I'm probably going to put a, I'll probably put a distance meter like down here. I still have the Bastion label, Nexus, Peace, Ader. Now those are the only labels I really, oh yeah, and then Karnwood and like Karnath in general. Maybe I don't need the Karnath label, but the Karnwood, Nexus, Village, Fortress, Bastion, and Ader. Those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 labels and a distance bar. I think I'm content. I'm gonna let this sit. I'm gonna do labels. Let's see. I've got a little bit of time, so let me mess around with labels. Hold on. There's my text. Get rid of that. All right. We're going to let's do this. Go to File. We're going to save as computer production. Let's go to JPEG. Page 2. I'm gonna hit save here real quick. Oh wait, shit. Hold on. I forgot to conceal the text. And then I want to conceal the background so it's transparent. That's all really important. Now I'm going to have to resave it. Save as JPEG. Please replace it. Wait. Damn it, I can't do a JPEG. In this instance, it has to be a PNG. Save as. Delete you. Transparency equals PNG. Page 2. No. What is your problem? File. Save as. Computer. PNG. Page 2. There. This will work. Saving. Just waiting for the saving bar to finish. You know, this is a good time for me to take a sip of coffee. Why are you choking on that last percent? It's like saving 99%. Why are you not done saving? What is hell's going on? I am not happy that that is hanging there like that. I think I'm there we go. I demanded too much of it. OBS is kicking right now. That eats up some of my graphics energy, but I also have a shitload of pages here. I could have extracted this as a separate layer into a separate document and then saved it separately to speed up the saving. I'm not used to this is like literally twice the size of page that I would normally use. Yeah, this is a 10 by 17 inch space. This is literally twice the size I would normally do. So I should expect it to save a PNG more slowly. That's just something we have to keep an eye out for in the future. Oops. There and there. I'm going to resave this real quick. Take a sip of water to chase my coffee. Cool. That saved quick. PNGs save slow. I'm going to close this. File. Open. Page 2. Okay. Interesting fact about Word document. Microsoft Word. It only processes 150 DPI. So even though I've built this piece at 300 DPI, which is basically standard level of the standard depth of resolution in color printing, actual printing color, 300 DPI for color and 600 DPI for just black and white ink is typically the maximum you can do. But Microsoft Word only processes at 150 pixels. So we're reducing the resolution down to 150 pixels. We still have a lot of mechanical information depth here. But obviously it's a lower pixel count, but it doesn't matter because of how large the document actually is. We don't really lose that much data in the process, to be truth. So let's pan back out. We're going to save this as it's PNG. It'll probably take a few moments for it to save, so I'm going to take another coffee shop here. There you go. See, much faster this time. Now we're going to go to Microsoft Word. I'm going to crack open the document. I'm going to go down to page 2. Betrayal is right. I forgot we shifted the text. I'm going to see this monster open back up so I can see the exact placement that I want. There. One and then some. One and then some. And then oh, this is all fuckered up. I think that's where I want to be. Yeah, that's where we're supposed to be. And then we have this page here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to insert a shape, which is this. Let's look at real quick our layout. page size. It should be 10 by 17. So let's go to, click on that. No, I don't want to click on that. I want to go to shape format. And then I want to go to size. Height should be 10 by 17. Let's back up a little bit. Yeah, see, fits the shape. So I'm going to shape format, position, more layout options, alignment, relative to page, left, and then vertical, top to page. Okay, now this square is perfectly aligned. We're going to remove, oops, that's not what we want to do. We want to remove the outline and fill picture from file. Crystals, art, production, page. Hey, look at that. It just lines up, doesn't it? There you go. So that's how it actually sit on the page, and then I can export this as a PDF, and it's good to go. There's a texture. This has no background right now. Like, this page is technically blank. It's showing up as white, but there should be a texture background. It doesn't exist yet, but the reason why I dropped this in here, well, to show you how that process works. There's 100 pages in a document. I'll be doing something similar to this for all 100 pages. That's assembly work. But most importantly, first off, I need to push this to the back. Send behind text. And now what I can do is I can click here, but I can go to Insert, Shapes, let's go with, what pixel size is it? 16. Damn it, come on. Nope. Not like that. Hold on. Nexus. Actually, I don't want to do it that way. I want to do a separate thing. I want to go Merryweather. Thank you, Timely Timer. That means I have what? Oh God, I only have a few minutes left. Okay, this is perfect then. Let's go down to Merryweather. Take it down to here. No fill. No outline. There. Maybe I put manifest zone instead. Manifest zone. Maybe I want to do that in white. Just make it pop a little bit better. Peace. Let's go here and let's go Bastion. I might have to make these more pronounced, like a larger font. Found small, undocumented settlements along the southern edge of the Carnwood, the Necromancers. So we're going to call this Village. Peace. I'm out of time. But this is what we're messing around with right now. Maybe like this. Bastion. Village Peace, Manifest Zone. So far, this is feeling pretty good. I got a kick out of here. I could fuck around with this, like finding specific placement for like ever. But this is generally how it's going to end up looking. So something like that. I'll need to mess around with the color here, or maybe I'll just push out the forest a little bit further. Who knows? Well, I can adjust the picture to match, or I could. Just, no, I'm pretty happy with where that's at. I could do a black border around the text to make it pop and flare a little bit more. But I don't think those. I think this label size isn't overwhelming. So I think that's the right font size that we're using. I think that's the right format to go with. And we'll probably just drop like 8 or like right here, maybe here. We'll see. We're gonna have to mess around with like highlights and stuff like that. But that's generally. Hold on. I can't, when I have it full screen like that, I can't see anything. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. I'm going to go ahead and just let's hit save here real quick on this piece. And here in Photoshop, this is looking really good. I'm happy with that, so I'm going to drop that away. That's it for today. I'm going to be back at 2 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock here in Seattle now. 6 hours, 6 hours from now, I'll be back on. And we're going to work on the conversion of Bard into the color magic system, starting with, we have the full scaffold for the class built. We need to flesh out and get the rest of the language about the 2024 subclasses that are in the player's handbook. And then on Monday night, when we come back around to do more martial powers and color mana stuff, we'll do all the Forsaken subclasses that were in 2014 that did not appear in 2024. So that's it for now, guys. I'm out of here. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me, guys. And anyone else that's new to the channel, like, subscribe, bell icon. I'm here a lot. I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.